At the age of 17 years old, I was incarcerated for murder. I went to prison and spent many years there contemplating what I would do to change my image, what I would do to show people that there was another side to me outside of the image that I had become known for.
That other image is provided by Dennis's group, today's Prodigal Sons and Daughters, which provides parolees and their families with job training and support. Dennis's major contribution is his art.
I began to do drawings that I thought would help to get a message across to young kids. I tried to create pictures that are graphically clear and irrefutable. You can't look away from it and just ignore it. And then I spent a lot of time on the words. The words are important because I've already gotten the inspiration. I've gotten the inspiration simply because I think the best work you can do is emotional. When I did The Gunman, for instance, just as when I did Minds Over Nines, what I wanted to do was, in a sense, attract them with what I knew would catch their attention immediately. I wanted a convicted killer or a murderer, I wanted them to look at this picture, and I wanted them to even say, if I ran into this guy's dangerous. Well, that's the effect I wanted to pull them with. For them to look at it and say, wow, there's just nothing else I can see in this guy but that he would kill you. Well, when I talk to young people and they ask me about it, I'll always tell them that was me.
Well, talking about the effect that art can have on people, especially people from tougher areas of the city, is Robert Pearson, who's an assistant executive director of today's Prodigal Sons and Daughters, and Dorian Gray, who is a member. Mr. Gray happens to be 72 years old, but there's this picture of him back in his closet. That's your real name, Dorian
Yes,
Gray,
it is. Yes, it is.
All right, first of all, Robert, tell us how the organization functions. How do you reach these kids, and what do you do when you get them?
The way that we function in Prodigal Sons and Daughters is we have a program that we just put in place. It's called the Pre-Trouble Program. What it is, we're trying to reach the future generations before they ever get into trouble. We want them to learn from our experiences on outside of the law as well as on the right side of the law now to keep them from falling into the pitfalls that we've fallen into. We call them reality teachings. The art that Mr. Porter presents to the public is what we call anti-violence apparel. We call it psychological warfare gear, and we call it public service messages. So what we want to do is show them the realities that when you pick up that gun, when you pick up that knife, when you entertain that evil and unrighteous thought, these are the consequences that you can look forward to, regardless of who you are, regardless of what your creed, religious belief, what your race is, and who your family might be. This is what we're trying to show them. And what we want to do in this program is to educate them, to show them that whatever you want to do, whatever you want to get out of life, the good, the wholesome, and righteous things, you can do it legitimately and righteously and legally.
All right, Dorian, how did you become involved?
Well, about 3 months ago, I got in contact with Dennis Porter. For 8 years, I used drugs, and he had some very powerful messages. One was the love affair between man and drugs. Man has always been a loser. And that's something that attracted me because I can really bear witness to that.
Was it something in your life that made you seek him out, or did he get to you?
Oh, well, I sought him out.
You went
Yes.
after. So you said to yourself, "There's something wrong here with this lifestyle that I'm in.
Yes.
I want to correct it." So what effect did he have on you now when you contacted him?
Well, my purposes in life are different. I do have some goals. In January, I plan on attending Essex County College of Business to get my black seal operating boilers and furnaces. I also have my GED now. You know, compared to my past, that was not a thought of mine.
Is this a typical story, Robert, young people?
For the most part, we can't delude ourselves. We must realize that everyone cannot meet the criteria of the Prodigal Sons and Daughters, and we will be the first
What are they?
ones.
Tell us what they are, if you would.
Basically, we have a contractual agreement. The philosophy is too long to go into in depth, but the contractual agreement is one that the prisoner has to make first with himself and his loved ones, because we feel that those that have invested time in bringing you food packages, bringing you love in the form of visits, are the ones that most likely will be the ones who will support you on the outside world.
So you've got to bring, as a young person now trying to straighten out your life, you've got to bring something to this program.
Absolutely.
It's not a passive experience.
Absolutely. In that contract, it is in written form, so that therefore you cannot renege and say that you did not make this statement. So you have a written agreement, a written covenant with your loved ones in the community at large. So therefore, when you betray them, you deny yourself any kind of sympathy at all from there on.
What happens if you default on that covenant?
You are totally dissolved as a member of the Prodigal Sons and Daughters.
No
and we
second
make it,
chance.
Well, we believe in second chances, so therefore it has to be taken on a case-by-case basis.
I see. Suppose youngsters wanted to get involved. If they wanted to avail themselves of your help, what would they do?
Well, they can contact us. We have an 800 number, and it's 800-294-8666.
There it is on your screen if you're interested in finding out about Prodigal Sons and Daughters. Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming in. It's very interesting. Robert Pearson, Assistant Executive Director, and Dorian Gray, marvelous name. I love that name, Dorian, who availed himself of the program and is on the road to straightening his life out. Thank you very much.